Originals.
Let's fire the Dream Machine. Don't press that button. Incredible. What up? It's me, Russel Hobbs, with the Gorillaz podcast. Welcome to Things I Like. I'm here talking to Mr. Peven Everett.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Peven.
How are you, Russ?
I'm good, man. I'm real good. How's the world find you today, sir?
It finds me in L.A., thankfully.
Yeah, man.
You know, I'm very, very excited to be here finally again.
And which Gorillaz tracks can listeners find you on, Mr. Peven?
Strobe Light and Halfway House.
Great tracks. So describe to me how you came to be where you are now today.
I wish there was a huge elaborate story that went along with it, but there isn't. It's actually pretty, well, I'd say it's short but strange. I'll call it that. I'd spoken with Tone on a performance show,
Right.
and he says, I'm going to have somebody call you, or I'm going to reach out for you. And lo and behold, what reached out was a big Gorillaz hand.
I will. What you gotta say now? When I pick you, oh baby. What you gotta say now? Like women and teenagers, when we go into relation, like water we moving in it, and we're running through life cycles. The ego shaking, and we need to escalate it. And we're only halfway to the love awaiting.
You know, throughout my youth, I was a skateboarder, avid skateboarder.
A word.
So alternative rock and music and was very important. Hip hop, all of that stuff was very important to have a good taste palette with respects to rock and hip hop.
Right.
So, I had a mixtape of alternative records, you know, which a few of them were records that Damon had written, and they'd become basically the soundtrack to my youth before I'd actually started my jazz pantheos, you know. So when I played these records, they really made me feel alive, and I never really knew exactly who'd written them, and lo and behold, I started to get more acclimated to Google, and I've started to see that Woohoo and all these brilliant records that I had no idea who had written them, but I really loved them.
Got you.
Were written by the same guy. They're the same 4 or 5 records by the same guy. That's how I knew my ear was saying, this particular writer, this particular sound is one that you're excited by. So, you know, I had no idea who, but it was Damon the whole time, you know. So I was excited to find out that now I'm listening to somebody that I really, really listened to.
I know. There's a beauty on.
But it's full circle now, and I feel really, really, really blessed to be here, speaking with the likes of you.
Thank you, brother. So where'd you meet us?
At the studio. I came into the studio and it was open arms.
Nice. In which country? Where were we?
Chicago.
Right. Oh.
Chicago, my hometown, and that's where Twilight Tone's from as well.
All right.
You know, so Twilight Tone is a DJ,
Yeah.
producer, who we had a, you know, very kind of distant relationship. We knew of each other,
Yeah.
but we never had the opportunity to work with each other. And when we did, it was that particular time that I was telling you about, and you know, not even a month later, you know, this Gorillaz thing came in, And it's been a whirlwind ever since. You know?
Yeah. So, tell me about Strobe Light. How it came about, what you like about it, how you did it.
Yeah. Well, Damon said, here's a track, check it out. He and Tone were playing it for me. And they were both, you know, bopping to it. And
All right.
I immediately heard something musically to it. I guess it would be like the part where it goes, your mother's vain and your father won't. That part came into my head. And Damon already has what he has. You know, so when the two of us got together, it was very nice to find out that he and I, we kind of function very similarly. And we come prepared in the same kinds of ways.
Got you.
So, for the first time ever in producing a song, I was able to produce a song from front to back in a matter of, I'd say, 3 or 4 hours with this man.
Wow.
Which is very rare. And it was easy. It was fluid. And it was heartfelt. More importantly, you know, from both sides. And since it was, I think that's what made it so very easy. That's a connection that is the number one connection I've ever had in a studio with anybody.
Right on.
Period. And I know it. I knew it when it happened, you know.
Hit me.
By the light of you, you may find some peace. All will come to view if you come with me. Are we just too far to be as one again? Are we obsidian? Is this how it is?
As things progressed in the song, it seemed to come to shape like in that 3 or 4 hour period. And Steve was in there mixing it down, and you know, everybody's working, and Damon's pulling out keyboards. He's like, no, try this sound. And I sat down at the Wurlitzer and I played some chords down. He's like, yeah, throw that in. Make sure, you know, yes, put that in. And Tone was like, yes, a little bit more of that. This part right here. You know, and we're all speaking as though nobody else is in the room. But none of us are actually stepping on each other's words. It was amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
It was amazing. You know, usually somebody steps on someone, you know, when 3 people are speaking. You know, that's a problem usually. But
we don't have no problem.
He finished my statement and Tone finished his, and it was jumping around like that.
I finish yours.
And nobody got in anybody's way.
You finish mine.
So, you know, to me, that was a match made in heaven. That was one of the most professional and, you know, artistically sound moments of my life, I have to admit.
Man, that's amazing. But what's a Wurlitzer?
A Wurlitzer. It's like a Fender Rhodes. Like I call it I guess it's the brother-in-law to the Fender Rhodes. I call it, because you know, usually when you have a brother-in-law, it's usually either really good or kind of a little tense. You know. So you know that Wurlitzer is pitchy, and it's a little finicky, more so than a Fender Rhodes. So I call that the brother-in-law. You know, hey, it's what it is. But the Rhodes itself is my keyboard of keyboards that I usually play with while I'm in my own studio, etc. And they had one of those there, but having that Wurlitzer, you know, gave it a particular angle, and it was just right for the record, you know. And
so right,
all of those instruments that he has in there, it makes sense, you know. And I like to play with a producer who has variety in mind, you know.
I got you.
It was just great, man. You know, it really was.
So, man, when you say both came prepared in the same way,
yeah,
what do you mean by that? You mean mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally?
There's often a time, you know, a time and space in the studio where, you know, there may be a writer's block moment.
I got you.
And everybody has their way of getting past it. He and I seem to, you know, be well past that space where that writer's block thing is happening. And it was refreshing. So it's sort of like getting across a point in the water or a river you're crossing, and seeing a bunch of dead bodies on stones because nobody's made it.
That's so sad.
You understand? Nobody's made it further than this point. And when I finally got to the other side of the river, there's Damon there. Hey, all right, you're all right. You know what I mean? So that's how it felt for me. Like, oh my God, there is civilization on the other side of the river.
Yeah.
Once you're done figuring things out and it's time to actually explore,
Let's explore.
There's somebody to explore with. That was fantastic. Yeah.
So the album we made is called Humans, but one of the themes is non-human entities. I want to ask you about your views on aliens as opposed to humans. How are they different? And are they already amongst us?
I really do believe that they're already amongst us. I really do.
That's incredible.
And I say that for the simple fact of there are thoroughly unexplained phenomenon that are still being found via fossil and, via excavations of different parts of the planet. And I don't even think we've scratched the surface as to how deeply that goes. So my perspective of it is that, just like we discovered the molecule and found out that the quark
Atomic
actually exists within the molecule.
That's atomic.
The same style of existence is going to happen with respect to what we see as the physical being. What we acknowledge as a physical being and what we acknowledge as a phenomenon of a physical being. These are the two things that I think make up the mere presence that aliens were here.
Yeah.
They were. I think, guys like Shaquille O'Neal or Michael Jordan or Manly P. Hall.
Can you explain who Manly P. Hall was?
Manly P. Hall is a wonderful writer, and he was a very giving person. He was a well-off man, very rich from the very beginning, silver spoon kind of guy. But he chose to not go to school in the way that people usually go to school. He went to school to kind of figure out if he should actually be going to college and should be doing these worldly things that people call
education,
learning.
Okay.
He later figured out that he wasn't supposed to, and there was actually a higher existence that locked an equation that locked the entire thing out and made it understandable for everybody if they would just take the knowledge in.
Gotcha.
And, his philosophies, for me, really painted out what it was to understand, like you were saying, the relationship of the human spirit to alien forms.
Right. Oh.
Now, alien being spiritual as well, because I think those two are one and the same. In that the spirit and alien world, the Nephilim, I would say, that they would call them, this mixture of human and angel that people often forget about as a part of biblical text, is also a part of scientific text.
Getting deep.
And that coupling and the presence that we have in science and spirituality with the same fact makes it, to me, very clear what's happening, and that we need to kind of look further into our excavation and our earth itself. We have a lot of untold stories.
Stories to be told.
As we've seen, they've got wheels and instruments and tools that people don't know what they were actually for.
X-Files.
And these kinds of puzzles are not to be left as puzzles. They're to be, put together and figure out what's going on.
Got the code.
What's that about?
What is that about?
No. I'm not following that one. I'm not following that train. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the facts and pay attention to what I see and know how to look at what I see and know to look at what I see with great scrutiny.
But see.
That's the most important thing.
See, but look.
Because then you can kind of humble yourself to the idea of how big the pool of intellect really is. It's huge.
Man.
Infinite.
Alright, I hear you. So do you think the alien or sentient being knows it's an alien? Do you think they're that aware?
No, I think now that it's now becoming, it's changed over thousands of years. I believe that. I really do. I believe that, the pyramids are very important where they're placed.
Right.
All of these things are relative to why, the pyramids are actually here anyway.
Would you say their existence is evidence of alien activity?
There are things that are happening inside the pyramid that have nothing to do with a human being in that pyramid. Nothing. A human couldn't be in that pyramid if it was functioning for what it was actually built to do, which is bring about a particular energy from the ground up due to a certain style of rock that they had. And I forget what the rock is called, but it was this blue rock that they found underneath the pyramids. And it's a rock that channels a great deal of energy, radioactive energy.
Rock of Ages.
Just energy altogether from the cosmos, etc. And through the top of that pyramid is where there seems to be a chamber that goes straight to the bottom in a zigzag kind of way, all the way to the bottom of the chamber where the pool of rocks actually lay. And that heat that those rocks made actually went through the zigzag back to the top and shot through the center of the pyramid straight to the heavens. You understand? So this is happening in not just one pyramid, but in another pyramid, thousands of miles away. So, that phenomenon, we have to study the pyramids. Why are there pyramids everywhere? Not just in Egypt. There are many things like that,
Triangulate.
that probably need to be looked at,
Yeah, man, I hear you. That power you're talking about, can it be brought into the studio? Can it be used in music?
Oh, I think it could be quite powerful. Quite powerful. I mean, where do I freaking start? When it comes to, making music, there are points where you are on par and in sync, with a producer. And the mood or something happens outside the studio or a phone rings and somebody might interrupt or something. And it makes the energy detour a little bit. It doesn't ruin it, but it refocuses it into a different direction.
Into a prison.
Now, having already been in a particular space making your music, you start to build a relationship with feelings while you're just being silent.
Magnetic field.
Different things come across your spirit.
Magnetic field.
Just in silence. And, I found that nostalgia, I'm saying this particularly, nostalgia is something that I feel isn't always based on the typical way people use the word nostalgia.
Going back.
I think nostalgia is actually a feeling that's present and palpable in the studio, which is why I felt so comfortable with tone. We had nostalgia, but we had no connection prior. Damon and I had nostalgia, but we had no connection prior.
Synchronicity.
But it was definitely there. And it made me feel comfortable and made me feel sure that I could do the task at hand with no problem. It gives you a certain level of confidence that lets you know that more than just your level of confidence is creating this confidence. That's the power of that telepathic space. You know, it really is something that happens. It's actually before the thought happens, and it's a forecast as well. So it's where are you in the actual pool that is telepathy? Are you in looking forward, or you know, in the past, Back to the Future, or you get me?
I got you. So you think seriously? What are you saying? So you seriously believe for that to happen, you must have met before in the past, right?
Some energy of yourself. What was that? If you can't recall it. So did it really happen? Yeah, it happened because it's confirming itself now in a space of newness for me. So those two don't make scientific sense to me. You know what I mean? So until you can scientifically explain that one to me, yeah, I'm going to have to say there's a spiritual place in that.
Right.
A place of, you know, cosmos that really exists, that we all speak in.
Fourth dimension.
And we have to become a little bit better at being well-versed in it.
You think it's something we can harness?
Yeah, without question. That's the byproduct of music after it's been played. That buzz you feel in your body.
Gotcha.
It's a byproduct.
Of telepathy.
Proper telepathy.
Right.
Because it sends waves out, you know, either positive or negative.
That's incredible.
Depending on the people generating
the white coats are waiting outside the door.
The telepathy itself, the pool of telepathy.
Don't fight them.
You know? And that's why you put microphones in front of it, so you can affect large groups of people, and then you can sing into them. You know?
Yeah, man.
It does affect them. Screaming teenagers with the Beatles are screaming teenagers with Gorillaz.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
Aye.
Everybody's getting affected.
Your nurse is going to be here in 5 minutes. Have this man committed. Thanks for listening to Gorillaz Podcast with Deezer. Now get out. That was funny.
We got the power to be loving each other no matter what happens. We got the power to do that. Yeah. We got the power to be ringing the great bell out there above us. We got the power to do that. We got the power, we got the power.
Deezer Originals.